Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, for the week of November 14th. I'm Ryan Miller, and out of our own collective pasts, it's Matt Amber.
Hello, I'm the past.
Remember
I'm
him?
the future.
Oh,
I am.
Twist.
I am the Alpha and the Omega.
Oh, boy. And this is Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week, and you can email us at podcast@bookclubformovies.com or go on Facebook and Twitter. I don't even say like the handle because I figured it's easy enough at this point. Also, Twitter. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Hey. Hey-o.
And also, of course, Patreon, where if you feel so inclined, you can help us to continue to do this on a regular basis, let's say, even though we're recording again on a Saturday. It feels like we almost missed it, although last week's show came out this week, so...
We're behind. We're going to catch up. We're behind the 8-ball, but we'll be in front of the stripes ball. What are billiards? Is it... I don't know if that refers to actual, like, regular pool, all pool. Is billiards a game of its own? I've never understood.
Oh, yeah, if I had to vote, I'd say that that's used sometimes as an all-encompassing term, but also as some sort of specific game that I don't understand right now.
And then my other question is, why is golf not billiards?
Golf, you shouldn't ask me any questions, honestly. I don't really
Golf is a word that does sound like you've got something caught in your throat, right? Golf.
I just thought it was a dwarf thing. I didn't know it was actually like existed outside of those skits.
That's right. Dwarf goes golfing. I forgot about Dwarf. Carol Burnett show.
Yeah, look those up. What child wouldn't enjoy? Yeah, no, that's like an easy sell to my daughter, I feel like. Or maybe. Or is it the skit she watches and she's like, I don't get it. Like, no, you don't. This is the funny part. Like,
so you have to give her two options. So you can't just go straight to Dwarf. You have to have Dwarf, but you also then have to do like the Monty Python. You have to find an equivalent sketch that is from the Flying Circus and go, okay, which one is funny? And, find out where she's at.
Good litmus test. Yeah, although I feel like Monty Python is a little more evergreen than maybe Dwarf. I don't know.
It's impossible to tell. We should have John Cleese have a conversation about Dwarf. I'm sure he'd be really, really cool about it.
I'm sure he'd be really, really cool about noir movies.
Norway, you did that.
We're in this month, we've named it Noirvember, and we are going through just a whole bunch.
By the way, only us. We've named it Noirvember.
As far as we know. I still haven't looked it up. Have you?
No, nobody else has come up with it.
Okay, I assume somebody has, but if you
don't
look it up,
no,
it doesn't exist.
No.
They certainly have never done anything about Blast of Silence, which was the first one we did.
And it was a blast.
Oh, it was amazing. This is quickly becoming, will this become my favorite themed month?
Dude,
I don't know.
It's really good so far.
Stick around for this show today on Out of the Past. Matt, do you have a synopsis to get us into it this week?
The Past!
Is that
coming at you an hour and 34 minutes, written by Jeffrey Holmes, directed by Jacques Tourneur, starring this cast is bananas. Starring Robert Mitchum, Jane Greer, Kirk Douglas, Rhonda Fleming, Richard Webb, Virginia Houston, and Paul Valentine. Here is your Book Club for Movies synopsis for Out of the Past. When a small-town gas station owner is visited by old acquaintances, his private eye past comes back to haunt him.
Beautiful. And I don't have a ton. We did the whole noir spiel last week. Go check it out. I loved it. It was fun.
It was fun.
But I don't think we need to do that every time. Also,
every time we should do it. Recap it. Tell me what is noir. Go. It's black. Done. Move forward.
Well, in a way, we will be schooled, I think, by this particular film. But maybe not in the same way. There's not a whole lot on it historically speaking. I mean, there is. And I certainly could look it up, but we are kind of knee deep in the studio system. RKO apparently in the early 40s was more concerned with cranking out the B films, and then out of nowhere gave this thing, Out of the Past, a budget. I don't know what that budget was, but apparently it was larger than normal. And it's not even the first Jacques Tourneur and Nicholas Musaraka, the cinematographer. It's not even the first movie of theirs we've talked about. And we just barely talked about that other movie for Octoberween. 5 years earlier, these guys did Cat People.
That's so funny. Right on.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
I love it. I love coincidentals.
And it's only Kirk Douglas's third credit ever. I feel like every time I see Kirk Douglas in a film, I'm like, oh, he's done. Like, he just seems like he's been in the game.
He's omnipresent, right? Like film existed, also did Kirk Douglas.
Right, yeah. Which, I mean, we're in 47, so we're not that far removed. But yes, this is only his third credit as the heavy, basically, in this thing, as the gangster, he's not in the film a lot, but he is the big bad for the most part.
He immediately, even at and maybe it's because you know who he is now, but knowing that, which I didn't, he even had the gravitas of Kirk Douglas back then. You know, like you could see it. Like he is everything that Kirk Douglas like has in terms of why he is known as such a great actor. And I will say throughout the movie, there are bits where you go, oh yeah, I totally see the resemblance, but there is one scene.
Oh, to Michael Douglas? Right
towards the end, when he is sitting and there's a shot where he's just sitting kind of, he's by himself in the shot and he's staring like directly at the camera and there's, I feel like he might be wearing a white suit or something, but spot on. Like they look right. We pulled up a picture, Beth and I pulled up a picture and we were like, yep. That's like right there. He looks just like his son. Like,
well, I mean, if you took Michael Douglas's voice and like put it through like a 40s filter or something like that, I'm sure I couldn't tell you the difference. You know,
no, yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
We can get into it because honestly, I really want to get Blast of Silence. You're right. Was a ton of fun. It is a fantastic film. Go watch it. It might be on the opposite end of the spectrum from this thing. This just looks like money on the screen, you know, and I don't know what that lavish budget was that they got. It certainly was more than Blast of Silence got, which was that kind of indie darling, certainly, and is flashier in some strange ways, like with that narration and some of the other choices they make. But again, this just looks like absolute money on the screen.
You look like me when I'm ready to talk about Shazam or something. You know, I'm like
yeah, go listen to the Black Adam show. Oh, which is out actually, by the way. That came out I think shortly before, maybe even same day, or went public same day as the Blast of Silence show. Yeah,
go listen to that. And then Jonathan Blade, listen to that and then get back to me. I want to hear. We're gonna have to have him on the show and talk about all of this stuff because it's too much. We can't do this. Twitter's gone. We just got to have a regular with Jonathan Blade show. That's what I'm saying. So what I want to talk about here out of the past. The number one again. I'm loving this month so much because all of these I've never seen them. I don't know. Never heard of them. So. Fantastic. That's been great. Blast of Silence was amazing. What a powerful, like just on the edge of my seat the entire time. And I think you're right. When we're talking about film noir here, like this is from the American, I think for specifically the American intent, and like the American script. These are just polar opposites. Like they're so different, right? The story may kind of have some of the same beats and same concepts even, but they're just so wildly different in terms of the execution that watching them back to back is just a thrill because it doesn't matter what you think you know from the other movie. This is going to do it differently.
Yeah. You'll catch some of those noir hallmarks in Out of the Past, obviously, but night and day in a lot of other aspects that you'll get to, and I'm
now what I want to say about this. This came out in 47. When did Blast of Silence come out?
61. So we talked about how that was at the tail end,
right?
Quite possibly the first neo noir thing. Yeah.
Okay, which again makes sense. So. I don't really know, and maybe this is something we should have researched, or I should have before I started using my face.
Who can say?
I don't really know when the noir like really started. Like what the very first that they really say this is the first, as it started year X, and then we go forward.
There's no year. Yeah, it's like we mentioned. It wasn't happening. Like nobody set out and was like, here's
Right.
where this was something that came about during a zeitgeist that, parallel thought, all this stuff. So yeah, there's no exact start date, but yeah, late 30s, maybe if you're a little generous, you start talking about proto noirs or something like that, or mid 30s. Yeah, whatever.
Right. And by the way, I did that just so you could get that little bit out of history.
Oh, Klein and Sinker.
I know,
Oh,
I did it. So in out of all the films that I've seen from a noir perspective, this is definitely the earliest I've seen, I think, where the hallmarks for every movie post this feel like they got it from this. The way that the Mitchum character, dude, the way like the cool, quiet Mitchum character versus it, there's something about the way Mitchum does it where I feel like that became the prototype of this is your noir protagonist or prototagonist, whatever you want to call him.
Sure.
I love that aspect of this though. That this feels like this is the movie, man. Like every time somebody came on screen, every time Mitchum lights a cigarette, it's just that, like, man, every other movie came from this. Like, something may be like, oh no, I was influenced by this movie, but that movie was influenced by this movie, right? That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like Bogart is the one you'll hear about certainly most often, but he's more like, he feels like a character. Yeah, he feels like, and I'm sure is and is great, even though I don't have that breadth of knowledge there even. But Mitchum feels like, yeah, like heavier than Bogart even, like darker.
Bogart felt like a movie star. Mitchum feels like a film star. You know what I mean? Like
cinema. That's it. This
yes.
cinema. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a cinema. It's a cinema. Bogart, no cinema.
Bogart's a film. Mitchum's a cinema.
Yeah, that's how we go. But like it's that I'm trying to pinpoint a good actor, like, to compare these two. And I'm trying to find an age that makes sense so that they're parallel. It's not like going from here's somebody from 1983 and here's somebody from 2020, but it's, I agree 100% with what you're saying. because there's a difference in the presentation of who they were as Hollywood stars and how they were portrayed on screen, right? Like, it's
Mitchum, I feel like you'll find people that still don't know who he is, like haven't heard his name before. Bogart, I feel like you don't get that.
Bogart, because of you've got the kid, play it again, Sam.
Yeah,
like,
they can even do the impression even if they've never seen a movie. Maybe
right.
They know how to Bogart a cigarette.
That's right. But yeah, Mitchum has this other power, and I mentioned this to you the other night after I finished it, where the only immediately as soon as I finished watching it, I thought, if this movie were to be remade today, right now, today, I would still want Clive Owen. He's the only person in my mind that has the same quiet gravitas and just like strength that Mitchum has throughout this movie. He would just kill that role. Be so good.
Yeah, pretty good match. Yeah, in fact, when you said that, I was like, why does that sound so perfect? Then I'm like, oh, it's kind of Sin City, I guess. A little, yeah, but
a
yeah,
little Sin City,
totally
but taken on the more. But if you take it out of the Frank Miller world and put it into this, I still think he nails it. Like, he crushes.
I'm kind of surprised this has actually. It may have been remade under, and I'll have to look it up, under a different name, but I'm surprised an out and out remake of this thing hasn't surfaced really. Sorry.
No. And I was going to say, I got to wonder if this is just one of those movies that people don't know about. Like, people know about it. Like, it's obviously, like, it's a Criterion. It's got all these things, but like, there are a ton of Criterion movies that you've never heard of. I mean, I know there are a ton that I've never heard of. So is this one of those classic films that somebody knew about and found and loved and said, oh, this is such an important movie. But we didn't, it's not widespread.
Right.
I kind of wonder if this is one of those.
Because the other thing I'd say about it, the other thing I love about it, maybe, gosh, is it the thing I love most, is the plot, the writing. And I'm not talking about how it's written yet. We'll get there, but just how it's constructed. Like the plot of this thing is so darn compelling. It's paced perfectly.
It is.
There really are twists and turns. It delves into the character work at the same time. You don't know. How much have we said so far about the thing?
Nothing really. We haven't really talked about anything about it in terms of what the movie is outside of the synopsis.
So unlike Blast of Silence, where, and again, if you know noirs, you kind of know what you're looking for, how it might end. I would say go watch Out of the Past before we spoil it for you, because it does keep you guessing the way it's written. And if you are really paying attention to kind of where the tension is coming from, it's incredibly satisfying. Like, I will spoil this. I feel like
we're going to
by talking about it. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Go watch it. But it's essentially about Robert Mitchum, who's trying to escape his past. He's opened up a gas station with a new girlfriend, and somebody comes back to him and pulls him back to Kirk Douglas's, mobster character, who basically they had a relationship where he would go do things for him, and we find out that he went and tried to retrieve one of Kirk Douglas's girlfriends at one point and instead ran away with her, and they had a life until that girl murdered his partner, because he's a cop, he's a plainclothes, he's that guy on the outside, not only because he's a detective, but because he is doing these side jobs for Kirk Douglas. And you never get the feeling that he's done anything terribly illegal. Even going to retrieve the guy's girlfriend, he's not breaking the law. He's just doing the guy a favor.
He was pretty clear, because they actually talk about that too. Like, is he supposed to kill somebody? And no.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. No. She won't. When I bring her back, she won't get hurt, right? He's like, no.
Yeah, he's actually concerned about the safety, obviously, because he was in love with her at one point anyways, but... Well,
no, that's just when he goes to retrieve her the first time. He's like, I'll do this for you, but she doesn't get hurt.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
I promise, she won't get hurt, yeah.
Right. So, but
yeah, they sorry.
No, but in any case, yeah, he always feels like that character that skirts the line perfectly. He never... There's a boundary that he just won't step. I don't think that he would even shake somebody down. He's the kind of guy that would be like, oh, yeah, I will get the thing, and I'll bring you I'll get the girl. I'll bring you the girl. I will. I'll help you get from point A to point B. I can be an intimidation, but I'm not going to do anything. Yeah, that's definitely without he gives that feeling off while also maintaining but he could. He definitely could.
The quiet power of Robert Mitchum,
it's on display here. Watch this, then watch Night of the Hunter and go, yeah, he's terrifying.
Did you watch? Oh, no, you've seen that before.
Beth hasn't seen it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you'll get it. Certainly you'll get it. Yeah, watch either of those movies. But yeah, the fact, though, that he is kind of skirting that line means that he's not only maybe a little naive, it means that there's not a whole lot of room for error. And sure enough, when he falls for this girl he's gone to get and they run away together, that's crossing a line of sorts, especially when it turns out that the girl, and this is one of the things the movie very artfully depicts. I'm going to ruin it, but the girl is out of her mind. She's a murderer. But the movie is like, is she really? Is she in a bad situation? Is she trying to escape? She's the femme fatale for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And you never quite know. Although by the end, I would say, yeah, she probably really loved Mitchum, but also was under no illusions as to the type of world that she lived in. Again, she shot when they run away and Mitchum's old detective partner finds them, she shoots him. Mitchum is in the middle of trying to at least get him to calm down because the guy's confrontational, and she just shoots him. And I'm like, oh, this girl, bad news, man, get away, just leave her.
And then not only does she shoot him, she then immediately backs up, slowly opens the door, turns the car on, and takes off. And it's one of the, we did laugh. We were like, this is where the Simpsons got it, because it does. You hear the close of the door and then and the whole time Mitchum, it's a great moment though, right? Because it also really, really solidifies, because this is actually kind of early on in the film too. So this gives us a real handle on how Mitchum deals with all kinds of stress and struggle, because he never bats an eye about the whole thing. He just kind of goes, huh, all right. Well, so now I've got my dead partner.
Yeah,
she
yeah.
left.
I mean, on the one hand, yeah. Sorry.
But that's what he does. I mean, he does take care of it, and he's obviously pissed about the situation. But the way it's portrayed is not in, like, he doesn't, throw everything around the house and get pissed off and scream at the sky.
And there are noirs like that, right? Like when the protagonist does come embroiled in his own web of deceit and lies, he will break,
lash out. He lashes out. Yeah.
Yes, or lash out. Yeah. No, this is not one of those.
No, he fully internalizes everything, which makes it's so cool, because you are all, like, for me, I was waiting. I'm like, I know Robert Mitchum, like, we know he can go ham and beat the crap. Like, when's it going to happen?
Or is it just so implied?
That's what I'm saying, is that it feels like he's the guy that you're just waiting to, that he is a boiler waiting to pop. Just one step. And when he does, and it's throughout the whole movie for me, is that's what's holding underneath this. Like, he is to me almost the epitome of, like, a hard-boiled detective.
Sure. Yeah.
and
boiling, even just in the process of
and that moment where she kills his partner, and he was fighting him, and they were definitely not trying to kill each other. They were, I don't think, at no point...
He was trying to subdue him at best, and it was,
And even his partner at no point was actually going to... I don't think his partner ever even wanted to hurt him so much. Like, it wasn't that kind of relationship. But
his partner was definitely the cop that doesn't get... Like, this character will show up sometimes as well.
He is definitely the one that's on the other side of the, like, he doesn't skirt the line.
Yes, Mitchum knows where the line is. His partner does not. Yeah.
Oh, his partner knows. He just doesn't care. I think that's
okay. Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction of him. Because that character knows what he's doing. He's not being led along by wit, in any oh, I'll give you this. No, he's straight up, I'm the number 2 guy.
Yeah. Wit, Kirk Douglas's character.
Kirk Douglas. Meta Carson, by the way. What a great name. Meta Carson.
Like, their legitimate names and their character names?
Well, yeah, Rhonda Fleming is the real name of Meta Carson. Great name.
See? How do you choose?
You don't.
But yeah, sorry. I think I was trying to get through the actual story, because I do enjoy the plot as it's written so much, because it does go back and forth. You never quite know if Mitchum's been going to be able to pull himself out of this, because it becomes a cat and mouse towards the last half, and the cat and mouse of the last half of this movie is perfect and just one of the most compelling things I've seen on screen. You don't know if because they're trying to set him up for the murder. Oh, by the way, everything we've said happens in a flashback in the first act while he's being driven up to where Kirk Douglas wants to meet. So his girlfriend, who is quite amenable, like his current girlfriend. She's very amenable. She's like, he's telling her this whole story about how he was involved in a felony homicide and whatnot, and she's like, and then what happened?
I think that was Jane Greer. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Sorry. That was Virginia Houston. Sorry.
Anne. I remember the character's name for once.
Yes.
But yeah, she's very, like, on the way up. She's like, and then what happened? And then is like, are you going to survive today? And he's like, we'll see. And then she drops him off and drives away. I'm like, this is so amenable.
so you actually did get to one of the things that I do want to mention before you continue with the story, because I do want to get there, and we will. We're making our way in the world today. This movie.
I make no promise as to any rest of the show movies. Let's put it that way.
Let's put it that way. That's fine. But one thing I have to mention, and you did kind of say you were going to talk about the writing, but the writing for this movie is so unbelievably sharp. It has some of the most quotable things I have ever heard, like the best lines I've ever heard in a film.
$1,000,000%.
Period. Like, I'm not even being facetious. Ever.
You go through yours, I'll go through mine. We've both noted many of our favorite noir quotes from this film.
There are, yeah, it's obnoxious. Maybe like
And neither, and from what I understand, we don't have any, like we each have our own. We didn't pull the same quote
probably
from
not
the whole thing either. Yeah.
I loved we should not get into this, but I did love
Just do it, man. They're so good. I don't even care this time. I know we try to avoid typically being like, and then in the movie this happened. Wasn't this cool? Wasn't this cool? I don't care. What were the lines you liked?
this one was Kirk Douglas, and again, all of these come with a delivery that cannot be mimicked, but I loved Joe couldn't find a prayer in the Bible.
So
what
good.
A freaking line, man.
I'll go. I got one. Okay, so when they meet back up after she's killed the dude and run away, and Mitchum gets called back to the house, and there's Kirk Douglas with Kathy, who is Jane Greer's character, the femme fatale. So she's come back to him in the meantime after leaving him with the dead body, with his partner's dead body in that cabin in the woods. And so she's trying to reconcile with him in a way, but again, you never know what side she's truly on. But he goes to his room because he's staying overnight at this mansion, and she comes to kind of plead her case. And during that, she's like, "Can't you feel sorry for me?" And he says, "I'm not going to try. Now get out, will you? I have to sleep in this room." Like her very presence is just dirtying up the room. I'm like, good gosh, this is. It's the exact thing I was talking about last show with, you know, the metaphors and whatnot being just communicating worlds while also being just plain as day. You know, it's the thing about Pulp Fiction, about film noir that is I love, and here it is on fantastic display. It's never been better.
I love that you pulled that particular quote too, because number one, yes, amazing in the moment, but also because the next quote that I was going to throw at you actually earlier in the film, when we're getting the flashback of him with Kathy in like Mexico after she's shot Whit and finds out he's not dead. She goes, "I'm sorry he didn't die." And Mitchum says, "Give him time."
So, yeah, by the way, Kathy was on the run at the very beginning because she shot Whit, Kirk Douglas's character. And that's what Whit wanted her retrieved for.
And then
so good. All right. Oh, okay. My turn. Okay. He's towards the end. After he's kind of put everything in motion, he's trying to escape this frame that Whit's putting on him. And he does, for the most part, figure his way out. And again, there's no plot holes. It's all paced perfectly. Like, even if I can't explain it, it is thoroughly satisfying. But I believe it's the last time he gets to see Anne, you know, his current girlfriend that is everything that's good and everything about his reformed life. And in talking to her about Kathy, about the femme fatale and all that, Anne says to him, "Well, she can't be all bad. No one is." And he says, "She comes the closest."
Top stuff. It's
yeah,
so good.
Yeah, it is. I'll draw the line there. I'll stop. But if you have more, please go on.
I have one more that I'll do. I'll give you.
And we're not doing it justice. Again, you got to imagine Robert Mitchum delivering these lines. It is just sometimes things come together, like the perfect things were made for each other, and Robert Mitchum delivering lines from a film noir is just one of those things, it turns out.
Oh, okay. This was this is towards the climax of the film where Mitchum and Kathy are he has her at a point where she is sure he is going to kill her, and she is terrified. And she says, and she's crying, and she says, "I don't want to die." And he looks at her and he says, "Neither do I, but baby, if I have to, I'm going to die last." Amazing. I will say, I'm going to sneak one more in, because I did tell Beth, I was like, this movie has maybe the greatest description of a woman I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, and it really, really fits you, honey, where he goes, he describes this one woman as she's awfully cold around all that hot. When like the cabbie looks at her and goes, "Wow," and he goes, "She's awfully cold around all that hot." Like, honey, that's you. And she goes, what does that mean? And she goes, and
You're a femme fatale.
and I go, well, you're kind of, and she goes, and I go, well, yeah, but you're hot.
I don't know why I had to bleep nice person, but I did. Like, it's weird, but
It's really weird. She definitely said that.
we love Beth.
Yes, we definitely.
I mean, because she's a patron. That's just how it works. She's paid for that love. And
I thought you were going to say patriot, and I was going to be like, that.
yes,
what?
she's a grand patriot. When I think patriot, I think Beth Amberg.
That's, yeah, let me tell you, she's
and Mel Gibson.
Wow.
Isn't he in that? Is that? Am I confusing that with another one? Is that We Are Soldiers? I can't remember.
You know what's funny about that movie when I think about it? That movie does not star like Heath Ledger's in it. He's Australian. Mel Gibson technically is Australian, I think.
Right.
You know,
one of those. Those are always fun. I want to talk about Out of the Past more.
Yeah. Robert Mitchum is super cool.
He is. I think we've established. Also, I mentioned real short up front that this was directed by Jacques Tourneur and cinematographed by Nicholas Musaraka. And while I couldn't tell you much about the direction. Nothing necessarily stood out. And again, that might be from the whole studio system we got going on here. But Nicholas Musaraka, especially after seeing Cat People, put him in every noir. Like I haven't looked at his resume. Maybe he was, but man, again, when I say this looks like money on the screen, it has to do probably mostly with him, with the cinematographer. So
it looks beautiful,
excellent,
man.
beautiful film.
Yeah, 100%. The way this movie also has, you've seen it done before, but boy, you've never seen it done quite as well. The lighting when it's a really purposeful bit of lighting when he is talking to, it's either Kathy or Meta, and I can't remember which.
Yeah, Meta's the like secretary that tries to or participates in the frame of Mitchum when Mitchum returns, and obviously Whit has this whole thing set up to frame him for a murder.
Right. But I can't remember if he's talking to her or not.
Okay, that didn't help? All right,
it may have been. But there's it was probably, again, it was probably Kathy. But there's a lighting situation where she is almost fully lit. Her face is almost fully lit. She's got kind of like a little bit of shadow here. And then he is like all shadow with just the slightest bit of lighting on his face. And they're outdoors and it's light outside and the lighting is just perfect on the inside to give that shadow and to show off the, like, obviously the two-faced nature of the character and this and that. Like it's one of those moments where you go, oh, this has so many different meanings going for it that I'm just gonna look.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt that this is operating on all of those levels, and I'll tell you why, because I figured out at least one of them, and you mentioned it already.
Robert Mitchum. Oh, Kirk Douglas.
No,
Meta.
The cigarettes, the smoking.
Dude.
Not only at the very beginning, I thought it was just a time and place thing. I thought, this is just one of those movies where everybody smoked and they didn't really think about it. No, man. Like, I went from my first note being, if everybody would stop smoking for 1 second, maybe we could. 2, at the end of the movie being like, okay, wait, there are legitimate things that happen. He has a cabbie friend back in San Francisco that hooks him up and kind of helps him escape the frame in a little bit. He shares a cigarette with him. Even from the first, I should have started with this even. The first scene has the guy that's coming to kind of pull Mitchum back. It's one of Douglas's lackeys coming to pull him back into that life. Lights his cigarette and tosses the lit match at a deaf kid at his gas station, which we find out has been with Mitchum for some time. You know, they're kind of in cahoots, and you get the feeling he knows about Mitchum's past. Yeah. Love that deaf kid also, man. I don't even know.
Love that deaf kid. That's
that deaf kid.
That's the name of this episode. Love that deaf kid. His name is Dickie Moore.
The kid, as credited. Okay. All right. Sorry. But then the thing that really gave it away, the thing that I was like, okay, wait, I have to look this up. And then I went back and looked. I was like, does he smoke with Anne ever? With his current girlfriend? With his tie to his new life? Does he smoke with her ever? Beginning of the film, he does not until the kid shows up to say, hey, Whit's lackey is looking for you. Then he pulls out a cigarette. And basically it's all smoking after that. And then the last time he speaks with Anne, not smoking. So it definitely signifies a bit of that life. In fact, I had to look it up. I very rarely do this, but I do really love Roger Ebert. And
He's great.
I looked up what he thought about this thing. And with the 100-year-old movies, it's a little bit easier to stomach. I don't feel like I'm repeating or parroting anybody, but I will parrot Roger Ebert in this when he says, "There were guns in Out of the Past, but the real hostility came when Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas smoked at each other."
Dude,
which just led me to think, I'm like, they are the smoking guns. Like, that is the thing, right?
That's
all of these people. Yeah.
That's great.
So good. And I guess to wrap up my thoughts, I will go back to the plot and the actual structure of how it's written.
We could do that.
In that, not a single loose end in the bunch. And again, up till the very end, I'm not completely convinced that Mitchum's going to bite it. Like, for a noir,
dude,
especially.
Are you kidding me? I was like, right up until the end, I was like, he's going to get out of this. He might
make it. He might make it. And you're rooting for him to make it, even because he's as reformed as anyone could be. But does that matter? Especially in this world. But yeah, he's in the process of escaping the frame. Kind of, again, the cat and mouse is fantastic. But at one point, kind of sets a trap for Whit's lackey, who comes to look for him in the mountains, finds him, but then the kid down below, again, the kid that got the lit match flicked at him by this same lackey, throws his fishing line up, and I guess depending on how you look at it, might be accidental, but essentially pulls him off the ledge.
There is no, okay.
You don't think so?
No, it's
some of the stuff I read was like, he accidentally kills him. I'm like, okay.
Not at all. And here's why that's nonsense. He literally turns around to look at the guy and aims up at him. He's like, because the camera pulls back, you can see that the guy can't really see where the kid's at.
Oh, yeah,
No, the kid definitely meant to kill him.
I mean, the kid definitely throws the line at him. We just don't get the other shot of him pulling on the line or anything like that.
Yeah,
and the lackey kind of like stumbles off there, or he dives off, really. It's one of those classic deaths. So I could see, but I think structurally, again, I'm speaking here.
It does, yeah.
It absolutely is the kid, because that's another loose end we get to tie up, right? The kid gets his revenge for the lackey tossing that lit match at him at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And everything else is like that. It's all wrapped up. It might not wrap up how you like. Again, Mitchum dies, so maybe you're a little sad about that. But again, you're watching a noir, so you come to expect it, and it's done completely perfectly. So you're not going to be unsatisfied. But yeah, it's firing on all cylinders. How it's written, how it's structured. This is probably going to show up on my favorite 5, maybe towards the end.
Oh,
of the year.
dude, my favorite 5 is probably going to end up being Noirvember plus something from October. Funny enough, though, this movie was remade loosely in the 80s in 1984 called Against All Odds, starring Jeff Bridges and James Woods. Jeff Bridges, Jeff Bridges in the Robert Mitchum role,
which probably gonna work. That movie probably works on some level automatically, but
it's also got Alex Karras in it, who was Mongo from Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
And fun fact, Jane Greer also in the movie.
Oh, really? Oh, they did one of those. That's fine. I mean, it's only 30. Oh, I guess it is 40 years maybe after. So.
Yeah.
People can live for 40 years or longer.
Well, she passed away in 2001, so watch your tongue.
She was while filming the movie 2001? Really?
Yeah, she died in space. Jane Greer died in space.
That movie was filmed in space, yeah.
Well, like everybody's all out here being like, look at Christopher Nolan shooting Tom Cruise in the stratosphere. Yeah, idiots. Hello, Stanley Kubrick was on the moon and then making 2001. Jane Greer's dead in space.
Go watch Out of the Past if you have any way to.
This is a movie that has immediately gone on my I need to purchase this. I need to find a criterion of it. I don't know.
Physical copy. Get that physical copy.
I want that physical copy, baby. It was so good, dude. It was so good. It was fun. It was exciting. It was edge of the seat. At no point was I even remotely bored. I was completely and utterly enthralled with the characters. And again, even that, like, this movie, one of the things I'm loving right now is how these movies are kicking off. We're not getting a whole mess of backstory that's actually dull. It's, here you go. Boom. We're in. Character. We're going to sit you in the back seat. Give us your backstory that's not dull because it's interesting, and that's why you're going to another place. It's amazing. I love it. Huge fan.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned the writers so much. Daniel Mainwaring, screenplay by James M. Cain, uncredited, and Frank Fenton, uncredited. I didn't find any reports of blacklisting, so I don't know. Like
so we don't care.
last
Sorry,
time,
this movie.
Although
this movie
no,
is
this
bad.
is 40. Yeah,
Oh,
six. Blast of Silence was in the 60s. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that would have been much later.
But they are also known for. Oh yeah, Mainwaring did Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1956. So the original there, I guess. Right? That's the first one, right? Wasn't it?
The first one I know of.
And James M. Cain, Double Indemnity, Postman Always Rings Twice.
Another of the greatest. Yeah. So these guys were basically the greatest. They wrote.
Wow,
these are the guys who
started out pretty strong.
These guys kind of created an entire genre unto themselves. So good on them.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Check that out of the past. Did I give Blast of Silence any stars? I don't remember. This gets even more. So 99.9
out of 50 pasts. I don't know. I've given up trying to match you. I think that
never give up.
Never surrender. Next noir film, Galaxy Quest.
If you want to never give up and tell me what you think about this movie if you watch it. I'll talk about this movie forever at podcast at bookclubformovies.com or on Facebook and Twitter. You can also find us on Patreon where you can, I guess, give us money to tell us what you think still.
Yeah.
But then we do more of these things. That the whole point is that we do want more. You get more. The first BCFM by myself is hanging around out there.
Yeah.
Matt's probably already the November newsletter is already percolating.
Oh yeah, no, I've been going off on some stuff here for sure.
See,
I've got this has been another funny month where like I did not intend to I knew Noirvember was coming, but I ended up turning on movies that I didn't intend to ever turn on for the month. Right. You know,
I think I hint at in the first BCFM by myself.
Right.
Did you? Yeah. I'm like, I get the feeling Matt watches a lot more movies than he says he does.
I mean, this is my.
He's showing me his phone, which is just
my
hot
list.
With
that's my
list of movies. Goldmember, Crazy Mama. Is that what that said?
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay, all right.
That was.
What was the one you were going to mention before?
Crazy Mama. Wait a second, real quick.
Okay.
This movie. We watched this. It was so weird. It has oh God, what's her name? She was old forever. Funny as all hell. And
Jessica Tandy.
Close. She's super old for Cloris Leachman.
Ah.
And it's from the I want to say the mid 70s, and it was I
Excellent. That was, if you want to also BCFM by yourself, that was basically one right there. That's what you can stand to expect from such things on the Patreon. So check that out. Matt, next week we're doing Act of Violence, just so everybody knows.
Of Violence!
1948, so just 1 year after Out of the Past, and starring Van Heflin, Robert Ryan, Janet Leigh,
Bobby Ryan,
Mary Astor, and Phyllis Thaxter. Again, those are real people names right there.
We love them. I am a fan of names that happen. Van Heflin. It just is such a great name.
How does he get to where he's going?
Heflins. What?
Yeah.
I screwed it up. This is apparently not available anywhere.
I have to work for this one if you want.
Yeah, it does look like there might be a couple copies on Amazon to buy, though. There's at least one double feature of this in Mystery Street. It's a DVD, so.
Ooh. So no Criterion just yet. We're still in the double feature.
I haven't really even looked yet for that.
All right, well. So come back next week for that. Matt, I might have spoken too soon. We're probably pretty close to an hour here. You can bring some extra movies to the rest of the show. We've got time if you want to offload.
And I do. I'm going to talk about Crazy Mama here because this is just such a weird movie.
Still going? Okay.
Okay. So this movie, it was... okay. Number one, I want to tell you, I don't know if I have expressed this accurately enough at how cool I think Plex's live TV that's free stuff is. It's like great. They have an insanely cool selection of live TV channels that are quote unquote live. They have commercials, whatever, but like they're pretty much a bunch of the channels show like the movie uncut. It just has a commercial added to it. So you're still getting the full thing. You're just seeing, it's just broken up in a weird
is it
way.
just one ad per movie?
No. I mean, some of them have multiple ads. Like some of them just break, but they're the full movie. It's like you're not like the swears and everything are in the movie. You're not getting a
right. Yeah,
you're not getting an edited version of it, I guess.
I'm just curious if the ads are intrusive, I guess.
They're intrusive. Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay.
Some of the channels are better than others. So like there's an action channel called Hi-Ya, which I was watching an awesome movie on earlier, and God, it's great. They put up a little thing in the corner that says, we'll be right back in whatever. And then it kind of found a place that was a logical space to have a commercial. But some of them don't. Some of them are like right in the middle of something. They're just like, blick, commercial. It's a little alarming.
Also, I'm pretty sure, one of my ad blockers catches them because whenever I've delved, the Comedy Bang Bang was on there for a bit. So I watched it there for a bit and I didn't get any ads at all. So I don't know if it's my VPN or my ad blockers that are doing it, but there are ways, I guess.
Yeah. But in any case, one of the channels, I don't remember which one, this movie started playing and we were like, oh, okay, what is this? It's got Cloris Leachman in it. And again, this movie came out in 1975. She was already like 100, which is insane. But then it gets weirder, okay? So this movie...
It gets more weird than Cloris Leachman being eternally old in 1975.
Yeah,
okay.
It does. It gets weird because... So Stuart Whitman shows up. Stuart Whitman is somebody that he was in a bunch of B movies, not a huge name, but he was in Night of the Lepus and he was in Shock Treatment. Fine. That's interesting. Okay. Then Jim Backus shows up. Who's Jim Backus? Jim Backus is Thurston Howell on freaking Gilligan's Island.
Oh, I'm like, why does that name sound familiar?
Why does that name sound familiar? That was a little weird. So there's him. Then we see Dick Miller, the amazing Dick Miller. Love that. And then, of course, my favorite part being that, like, the main guy is Ralph Malph from Happy Days. Terrible. This whole thing. And this movie is about 3 women who are turning to a life of crime to save their family farm. And all of these women, and again, it's Cloris Leachman. This is a comedy, by the way.
I guess I didn't understand that. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, no, this is like a weird comedy. And so this is all this bizarre thing. And I didn't see the entire introduction. So I didn't see the credits. And I'm like, this is the weirdest freaking movie. Then I find out who directed it. And I just about died. Because the director was Mr. Silence of the Lambs himself, Philadelphia, the Manchurian Candidate, Jonathan Demme.
It is.
This movie...
Produced by Julie Corman.
That's right.
Of the Cormans?
Of the Cormans. This movie is absolutely 200% insane and worth watching. Ralph Malph and Cloris Leachman, the combination of people you never knew you needed. versus Thurston Howell. It's insane. What directed by Jonathan Demme. You can see like there are hints of Buffalo Bill in there, but what in I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but boy, am I glad it did.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia for it, and I don't know how it happened either. So it's just one of those things, apparently.
I got one more that I want to talk with you about. Have you seen Fallen with Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland?
I don't think I've ever heard, let alone seen.
So Beth had never seen this, and I had been dying to watch this because I had not seen Fallen in for freaking ever. I saw this movie in the theater, and I remember being so annoyed at everything at the ending because it's a movie that totally made me feel stupid.
1998 with Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland, Beth Davids, James Gandolfini, and the always delightful Casey Jones himself, Elias Cotis.
Casey Jones.
Yeah. So this flick is a standard cat and mouse flick, but it's really creepy in the weirdest way because the character that Elias Cotis is playing is somebody who is very into like an occult or some kind of religious thing, and he tries to he shakes Washington's hand after he's been caught because he's a serial killer. He tries to shake his hand and he says some like weird stuff and nothing happens and Washington walks away. He gets killed in the gas chamber and so it is. And then we find out that he is basically inherited, like not inherited. He's been possessed by a demon. But this is no.
Of
Here's
all the things I thought you were trying to say, I didn't.
So no, but this does get like, I'm just gonna spoil the whole thing since you're never gonna watch it.
Sure.
So we do find we get this awesome fun camera motion whenever the demon is not really in a person, because we find out that it can kind of move around, and then it also travels through touch. So he tried to touch Denzel Washington and it couldn't get into Denzel Washington. But then, after Elias Cotis is killed, we get this camera, it goes into a character, and then the cat and mouse begins of him touching people and teasing Denzel Washington and killing people and leaving clues, and Denzel Washington not understanding what's going on, kind of figuring out that this has something to do with maybe something that happened in the past, something similar. And it has this amazing thread that goes through of him figuring out what happened to this one cop that was then blamed for a whole bunch of stuff and went up to a cabin and killed himself, and nobody understood why. And now his daughter is a theology major or theology professor, and we find out that her father had done some work and realized that an angel named Azazel, that is one of the fallen angels, angels can basically they can possess people. And this sounds silly, but the way the way it's actually portrayed in the movie is well done. It's not goofy at all, and even Denzel Washington has the same reaction. He's like, "That's so stupid." And then they fill it in and it makes sense and it's interesting and it's got this, it's a great movie because it does become this fun, gross in so many different ways tale of a demon now torturing this guy because he can't get into him. So he's going to do everything it can to screw with him because that's all it needs to do. It's got nothing else to do. And when you start thinking about the fact that, take out all of the goofy aspects of it and just think about the fact that this is something that is not only done by touch and then is all around you. I mean, there's a lot being said about the public and how things are viewed and what's being seen and what people do in this movie. And it's, again, you laugh, but it's Denzel Washington, man. And he's given a performance. It's a good one.
I don't doubt it. I tease.
Donald Sutherland rolling in and not just phoning it in. He's infuriating in the movie. And John Goodman, again, rolling Gandolfini, amazing. And this movie, the main reason that I actually got this movie in my head is because the theme of the movie is the Rolling Stones' Time Is on My Side. It's hummed, it's whistled, it's all the killer does, is because Azazel loved music. And this Azazel loves the Rolling Stones. And it's so...
Because he grew up with them. Well, yeah.
Hey, look at that. I bet he's helping the guy that can't push it all the way up the hill, but it's not falling down. Oh, no. You suck, guy. Maybe get stronger. Sisyphusian. Anyways, I made it sound probably dumber than it is. It's a really great flick, man. It's super fun. It's well written. The visuals in the way they do it are great. And the actual, again, the concept of having things taken from you directly in front of you and you can't do anything about it and everything looks like it's your fault, taken to the nth degree here. It's something a lot of people will be able to go, oh man, I definitely know how that feels.
Okay, so that's the thing that was super frustrating or whatever.
Well, the thing that's frustrating, for him, the thing that's frustrating about...
No, for you said you had an issue or something made you mad about it, the movie.
Oh, no. No, it's just Donald Sutherland's character is infuriating.
Gotcha. Oh, he's a oh gosh dang it. He's a Tim Roth. He's a... Not to
that degree. Not to that extent. No. He's just...
Sorry. Before everybody thinks you hate Tim Roth, there are certain characters from films that you... Absolutely. Okay. Well,
yeah,
maybe,
no, I
because
hate
he played the character in Rob Roy, was it, right?
It's so gross.
And then
it's so horrible.
What's her name from The Mist is another one.
Jack, no. I hate
so Donald Sutherland
so
entering
much.
the ranks of...
No,
okay.
not even close. Not even close. This is Carmody, Reverend Carmody. What was her name? What is her name?
It's an M, and yeah,
it's
she
an
was
M.
even in Law and Order a lot too. She's fantastic. I really
Marissa
like her.
Hargrave. That's not it.
No, you're thinking of Mariska Hargitay.
We need the answer because if I don't, Marcia Gay Harden. Didn't have to look it up.
How could we forget?
So, anyways, Fallen's cool.
No. I tease I don't doubt that movie can be made. I kind of laugh because it does fit, especially in that era, like you said, with 98 or something like that, where City of Angels was coming out. There was that. It was Devil's Advocate was probably.
To see me, because I don't think that they'd understand. That was the movie.
And then, of course, I feel like the pinnacle being Bedazzled, more or less.
Okay, now hold on for a second. Number one, City of Angels inflicted the Goo Goo Dolls weird, okay, the Goo Goo Dolls are a funny, weird band, and here's why. So if you ever listen to their early music... No, shut up for a second. If you ever listen to anything before City of Angels...
It's going to be funny.
You'll find out that a lot of their music has a very kind of specific feel to it, and if you ever listen to Paul Westerberg and the Replacements, you'll hear it. It's right there. And Johnny Rzeznik has said repeatedly, he's like, yeah, no, the Replacements, Paul Westerberg, huge influence. So there was this point where man, the Goo Goo Dolls I kind of really liked them. I really liked them. And I didn't even hate those songs off of City of Angels. That's actually kind of it's a sweet song and all that. And I feel like the unfortunate thing is they did what Westerberg did, where they were like, I just don't care anymore. And I don't want to do this. And now we're just doing it because it's the only thing we do. Anyways,
strangely enough, those who tuned in for the last TVVB may know, in fact, the last two TVVBs maybe. We've been going through the Behind the Music series, the original.
Yes.
And we just watched the Goo Goo Dolls episode. It's gotten to the point where we're skipping around a lot because Candy doesn't want to watch all of them like I do. I'm like, oh, this band I kind of like, but still want to know about for some reason. So she's been kind of picking, and certainly she chose the Goo Goo Dolls, even though I've never like I was a punk snob growing up, so even back then I was like Goo Goo Doll.
Yeah,
like,
no, they were stupid.
Even though I've come back around, I haven't necessarily come back as far as to quote unquote like the Goo Goo Dolls, you could say. Even though I agree, pretty good songwriters. Like that song, yeah, sure, I can
fine.
stand
It's a
back and be
sweet
like,
song.
oh, that's a yeah,
I get it.
sure,
Yeah,
but to find
catchy.
out that they were punks, man. They were punks, but they were like even just the first few photos that it shows. My wife turns to me and she hardly ever says this. Turns to me and she's like, "They're just so try hard," and they really like that is because they're very like just look at the dude. I'm sure he still has a perfectly manicured head of hair. Like
oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things he's known for, and his ridiculous last name.
Okay, so I don't. doubt that there's some value there, but yeah, to see that they were like these punks that turned into it ended up being an amazing episode for that reason. But still,
what I'm saying, man, now go back, listen to those, or like the first record they put out, think about and go listen to Replacements.
But like the actual first record, or because this is the other weird thing about, especially in that episode, they keep getting funding. Like they keep getting major labels like throwing all of their weight behind them, and they fail for like 10 to 12 albums straight.
Yeah, they're
like bad. Like Warner Brothers gives them millions and loses millions on them to the point where like they have a bit in the episode where they're like, we were successful and we still owed Warner Brothers $300,000. Like record contracts are garbage. Record contracts are garbage, but you probably lost them millions for many, many years before that. Like it is mind-boggling. And then they get those hits and it's like, I forget, it wasn't even the City of Angels song wasn't even their first. I forget, it was like Human, or what was the one that came before that? Or Man.
Oh no, it was
it's like one word. Yeah, I can't remember it.
Name. And I
That's
won't
it. Yep,
tell
that is
no one
Yeah.
your name.
Anyway,
which
so
also, by the way, though, I will
funny.
say that is a great song. I love that song.
Yeah, no, like I said, I can stand back and be like, look at these songwriters that are writing good songs, but
they suck as people.
Yeah.
And musicians. I don't like them at all.
Other funny coincidence here. You just mentioned John Goodman. I can mention another movie that we watched. I've been meaning to show it to my daughter ever since I watched Prey.
Please tell me King Ralph.
No, actually, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Love King Ralph.
No, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Well, I have to rewatch that. It's been a while.
Everybody needs to like. I remember enjoying it. Obviously, the first time we watched it, man, Goodman should have won an Oscar or something. He is so. Yes, the character is extremely well written, but his portrayal of that dude is just so freaking spot on and amazing and menacing and for a character that gets no arc, really, he just is that guy for the entire movie.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. There's a scene in the middle of the movie that completely went over my head the first time where they're playing like charades. I don't know if you remember, but
I don't. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
In a
while. So okay, I won't ruin it.
No. Go ahead. Do it.
Pay attention to how much of his character is communicated in that, and it's a funny scene. But all he has to say is that Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character is a woman, and he can't come up with it. All he can come up with is girl, little princess, and it speaks volumes about who that dude actually is. And they're just looking at him like, what is wrong with like, why is this so hard? It's a good movie. And then just scene after scene of that. How about just everything perfect? It's the ending. I get why it gets guff.
I like the ending. I'm
fine with it. I don't know if it does seem a little Trachtenberg. Like I do wonder if maybe that was the condition of getting the film made, was pegging on that ending. Because again, it doesn't seem terribly related. It is certainly because they don't know what's going on outside. But
yeah, I liked it. I don't mind. It was fine. Yeah, it was good.
Fine, totally fine, and an amazing movie regardless. So
yeah,
I'll leave it at that for this week.
Okay, if you leave it at that, then I'll leave it at that, and that's how we're going to leave it. And then next week we can come back and talk about Act of Violence, but also Happy Thanksgiving. And if you celebrate that, if you don't, happy whatever you are doing, work or everything or anything. I love you and I like you.
Oh, okay. I just had my favorite Thanksgiving experience ever, and I need to share it with you before we
Oh,
go. Because
tell
I don't
me.
think anybody will find it as funny as I did, but I was crying. I was crying laughing. We're playing. We see my parents just about every Monday, and we're playing game. It might have been Monopoly Deal or something like that. And we got on the subject of turduckens, and I was like, Evelyn, do you know what a turducken is? She's like, no. So we started to explain to her what a turducken was. And number one, she doesn't believe a lot of what I say because I'm always freaking messing with her. So I'll take the blame for that.
But please tell me you tried to tell her it was a real animal, though.
Well, no, we forgot to mention, I don't know. Maybe it's just because we know. We forgot to mention that all of the turduckening goes on afterwards and then it's cooked, right? So she's like, we're telling her that it's each animal inside the animal. And she's like, that's impossible. and I get it for a second. I'm like, wait, they're dead, right? Like, we're not talking about like making living animals go inside. And then I'm like, wait, did you think it was like a mouth thing or a butt thing? Also, like, how was it happening?
She, in my head, because I know what she looks like. In my head, she went very stewy on you and was like, that's impossible. And then under her breath, she's like, I tried it. It doesn't work. And you're gonna find out one day.
Is every scenario about that just makes me cry laughing, just like what the thought process was.
You're gonna find out that she has a science lab somewhere and she's been doing gene splicing. She's like, oh, I have a turducken, but it doesn't work.
Try it with your child. I want to know, is that does the child mind automatically go to gene splicing and or some ungodly sort of concoction, or do they figure out the food part pretty quickly? I don't know.
Or is it a Star Wars thing where they're like, is it a tauntaun? Yes.
I thought they smelled bad on the inside.
Yeah.
No, on the outside. I messed it up.
It's okay.
Come back next week where we mess up everything else with active violence and more of Noirvember, or whenever we release it if we take the week off for Thanksgiving. Either way,
we'll figure it out.
You have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you do that.
We'll see you later.
Bye!